This is Mind and Wellbeing. I'm Jodina Scazzola. Joining us today, Dr. Abigail Weissman, an LGBT psychologist and board member of the San Diego Psych Association. Dr. Weissman helps lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people and those who love them to be their happiest selves in their community and on their own. Dr. Weissman, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
All of these letters, we've seen the term LGBT, sometimes there's even more associated with the acronym. What are all of the letters and what do they stand for?
I'm so glad you brought it up. There are so many letters out there. So there's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. Those are the four that you'll see the most often. And then of late, there have been even more. So there's Q, I, Q, A, P, and occasionally a 2. It depends on the person. So let's see, there's queer, intersex, questioning, genderqueer, can all be in the QIQ section. And then there's also asexual, agender, aromantic, and ally can be in the A's, and then the P is for pansexual, and the 2 is for two-spirit.
Is it okay to just go with LGBT?
It depends. I mean, if you want to be seen as someone who really knows this topic, no. If you want to be seen as someone who will really honor the experiences of those within the communities, you have to say all the letters, or at least you have to make it clear that there are more letters and apologize if you've forgotten anyone.
So this is one way that we actually can support the community.
Yes, and I would say there are many communities, not just one. Each little person that fits under that umbrella has a different relationship to it. And so using LGBTQIQA, AAP, 2 sometimes is a great way to say, look, I'm aware that there are lots of different identities. We don't always say them all, but I hear you and I support you.
What are some other ways that we can support our transgender family members, friends, and I'm hesitant, I haven't written all of the letters down, but and so I'm using the term community, but how can we support everyone?
The first is really to believe someone. When they come to you, this is an honor. Someone has trusted you with this secret, and that no matter who they are and how confident they may seem, they most likely are scared to death that you will reject them, that you won't respect them, that you won't let them around kids anymore. Even today, this is still happening. So to be able to say to them, thank you so much for trusting me with this information. If you're a huggy sort and you're not a psychologist at that point, giving them a hug if that's okay with them, or just really thanking them.
Yeah, for bringing them into your life and trusting you. That's pretty important. Yeah. Now, you also focus on helping people figure out how they can be religious or possibly not be religious, and tell us about that. I'm sure that there are a lot of things that come up when dealing with religion and sexuality.
Oh yes, there are. I think what comes up most often is people's fear of coming out. So someone who is, let's say, a lesbian who's coming out to their congregation, admitting that they have a girlfriend and not a boyfriend, really wanting to be seen, that their relationship is enough, that they're not in sin for loving who they happen to love. And people are really afraid to be who they are for themselves and then in their communities as well.
What are some of the challenges that people face in the religious community?
It really depends. I focus a lot on working with people who identify as LGBT, QIQAAP, 2, and those who identify as Jewish. And so people can just be really concerned that their synagogues won't let them marry their spouse-to-be, or that they won't be allowed to be around kids even, that everything.
Yeah,
they won't be invited to the Shabbat table on Friday nights to sit and dine with people for a special meal. That people will just assume that they're, in love with someone of a different gender. And so I can run the gamut. And I've certainly heard many things being told to me as well as to people in my life, that people are trying to be very comforting and saying things like, we even like people like you here.
But that doesn't help. Yes,
it doesn't work so well.
And I think part of that is because it is very confusing. We're not sure what to do. And actually, I'm sure a lot of our viewers would love to talk with you and get information. How can we find you? What's your website, phone number? How can we find you?
Thank you. I would love that opportunity. The best place to reach me is through my website, certainly, at www.wavespsych.com. So that's W-A-V as in Victor, E-S-P-S-Y-C-H.com.